we're doing for our roast chicken is we're just going to cook it with sage only. One of the things about sage is that it's really best when you use it by itself. That keeps the flavor nicely, and a lot of times it doesn't complement it well to mix it with other herbs. So the sage is sort of rubbery, the skin or the leaves themselves, and they're easy to cut just like this when you stack them up into a neat stack like I have here. And that way you can just make a chiffonade or a julienne of the fresh herbs. So we're going to put a lot of herbs here. I have some underneath the chicken, totally surrounding the chicken, and inside the chicken. I'm also going to put inside the chicken some onion and some lemon. And then fill it up with some more herbs. You can never get too much sage. You know, dry sage loses a little bit of its flavor. What I'm going to do is make a pocket here and put some of these chiffonade of basil underneath the skin, because this way it'll infuse into the meat and we can remove it later. It smells great. When you make dried sage, and a lot of different herbs as well, a lot of the flavor goes away, but it seems to be especially noticeable with sage. And so that's why I really like to grow fresh sage. Let's see, I got sage everywhere, don't I? I still have another piece here. One of these chickens in the oven about 2.5 hours ago. Normally it could cook, it's only 4 pounds, and it could normally cook in about 1 hour and 20 minutes. But I like to slow roast it. I do eat my main meal of the day in the morning, and so because I work in the evening, and I can put this in the oven about 9 o'clock and slow roast it at a little bit under 300 degrees. And this chicken is cooked to perfection, slow roast. Oh wow, smell those herbs. And this one is ready to go in. So when you slow roast, I use a temperature set just under 300 degrees, and then I can go out and do errands. I can go to the Y and do my workout, and chicken's ready. All right. So they are easy to strip, all of them. You just strip it back, and that's, I think, one of the things that a lot of people, one of the reasons why they don't deal with fresh herbs is because they don't know how to clean them. So you just strip it backwards and then pull it forwards, and that takes all the delicate leaves off. So we're going to make a couple different things here. What we're going to do is store them. And that's the problem, as I said earlier, when you store them, is you don't always have them when you need them. So if you can process them, and we're going to chop all these up. Now, so when you buy dried herbs, they've lost a lot of their essential oils. But when you have nice and fresh ones, they keep those essential oils. When you raise your own herbs, they're not hybridized. One of the things about herbs is they're mainly a wild species, as opposed to a lot of the other vegetables that we grow. So herbs are trouble-free. They grow fast, and they're easy to deal with. All right, and so as I said about the sage, the chopper machine gadget doesn't work very well. So you do cut that one by hand, and what we're going to do is freeze these herbs instead of drying them. Because when you freeze the herbs, we're going to protect the essential oils. You know, you can tell that us human beings don't have the same relationship with nature as we used to. Back in the days bygone, there was thousands and thousands of herbs. They used them for medicinal, magical purposes, used them for health reasons, pretty much anything. All the plants in the world were divided up into 3 categories: trees, shrubs, and herbs. Even in the Bible, they talked about the grasses being herbs. So you can show how much distance we've come from nature in these days. So it's a good idea to get back to nature and grow some herbs. Today, most people only think a couple dozen herbs that there are, and there was thousands. So we're going to freeze these herbs, and the best way to freeze them is to protect them with a little bit of oil. So all you want to do is process your herbs, and I put way too much oil in there. And just put a little bit of olive oil in. And that way, the olive oil, you make it like a wet sand. You could use canola oil as well. It depends on whether you want to have the olive flavor. If you don't want that olive flavor in some of your dishes, you would use canola oil instead. So what you do is just wet it with like a little wet sand, and then you can freeze this. And what's going to happen is that the olive oil or canola oil is going to protect the herb, seal in that essential oils, and when you go to get it out and make your recipe, it's going to be frozen, but you'll be able to take a knife and just take a little bit out of the freezer and stir it into your stew. So when you do this, or whatever you're making, your sauté dish, it preserves the delicate balance of the oils, but it just changes texture just a little bit. But normally when you cook with it, it's not going to matter so much. So it captures that garden flavor and brings it into your kitchen in the middle of winter. And so I'm going to use the oregano, and I have the thyme in here. Put a little bit of garlic in this one as well. Now, rosemary was the herb of lovers. And they use oregano to make crowns or garlands for bridal parties. One of the things lately is that there's been like a resurgence in the use of herbs. And I think that might have a little bit to do with the fact that we've been experimenting with we've become more global. There's a wider variety of cuisines we're using on a regular basis. And so people are more open to using different herbs and becoming exposed to more exotic herbs. These herbs aren't exotic at all, really. These are the basics. Now, everything we've done so far you can do with almost any herbs. Some of the herbs, like, say, basil, are really going to discolor when they freeze, but the flavor is going to be the same. So as long as you're cooking with it, it's not going to matter that much. So herbs bring a lot of extra nutrition into your diet. And you know those things I was telling you about shyness and health reasons, they didn't just make that stuff up. They probably discovered that people who use these herbs had better medicinal values. So it's a good way to bring a lot of variety and a lot of health into your diet. A lot of people want to use just plain old fresh herbs. So the easiest way to store herbs fresh is just to have a nice Tupperware thing, put a little bit of damp paper towel in the bottom, and just lay your herbs right down in there, and put a damp paper towel over top of it, just like that. And what you're going to find when you store your herbs this way is you'll be amazed at how long they will keep with just like that in your refrigerator, probably a week or more. So that's a nice way to store fresh herbs as well.